Vanakkam, Namaskar, and welcome to season 2 of my podcast series, The People I Meet. My name is Shruti Vijay Kumar Vasant. I'm a radio jockey from Chennai, and on today's episode, I am going to be introducing to you a dynamic duo from Chennai. My association with these two go way back. I started off by meeting them at an event that they had put together and organized. I had the chance to host that event for them, and from then on, our professional and our personal relationship has grown from strength to strength. I've had the good fortune of watching them grow and evolve. Very, very passionate, very committed, very hardworking entrepreneurs who actually sort of made a name, a brand for themselves in the heart of Chennai, and today are one of the most sought after women entrepreneurs. Every single women entrepreneur group knows them, talks about them, and is very, very happy to have them head a lot of interesting events, not just in Chennai, but across the world now. They recently did something fantastic in London just before the whole world was taken over by the pandemic. So it always gives me a lot of happiness to talk to these two, because every single time, both of them being as different as chalk and cheese, but as a team, they work together so well, and they always make sure that you end up leaving with a smile on your face when you converse with these two. So very, very happy to have them on my podcast. Today, I'm going to be introducing to you the dynamic duo, like I said, Jeenal and Vandana from W Square. Hi ladies, how are you doing?
Hi Shruti, thank you for having us here. You are actually doing a wonderful show, podcast, which we follow a lot. So it's great to be here with you on this podcast for the second series.
Thank you so much, and it's been a beautiful journey even for us to see how you've been evolving, and it's been an absolute pleasure for us to kickstart this season 2 with you. So thank you so much for inviting us.
It's my pleasure. So there's been so much talk, right, about how this pandemic in the year 2020 has sort of changed all of our lives. And being in business itself is something that is a mammoth task, because there are so many things that we need to constantly keep, thinking about and evolving. And then the onus on, as much as I don't want to brand it as women entrepreneurs and men and, that whole gender disparity, there is still an extra dose of responsibility that falls on the shoulders of being a women entrepreneur, right? And you both have been at the forefront of it, especially when it comes to Chennai, and you've handed opportunities to so many wonderful women entrepreneurs there, and have sort of created, in fact, your first, the whole idea behind W Square itself was to be India's first co-working space for women, right? So let's go back and talk a little bit about the journey, because I know that you both come from completely different backgrounds, and you both have like very different, thought processes. But together as a team, you've managed to build this brand and bring about, such a change in Chennai's entrepreneurship scene. So go ahead, either one of you can take the question and let me know what sort of, drove you towards this particular line.
So our journey actually goes back to 2017, and actually earlier when Vandana and I used to work together at an ad agency. That's how we met, and then we had a lot of things in common where we decided that starting out a journey on entrepreneurship definitely is wonderful, and there are a lot of women today who are venturing into it. But yes, the challenges are something that nobody tells you in advance, right? And I think that the beautiful part of this journey was that when we started off, we had a partnership where both of us were very clear of what we wanted. We kind of demarcated what our specializations are, what our goals are at the end of it. That's one of the most important elements for a successful entrepreneurial journey. And the whole idea of W Square came about during that phase when we were working with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of women actually who had taken a break or, who were in very good positions during their career, but took a break due to maternity or due to personal commitments, and then they used to do part-time freelancing jobs with us. And that's when we realized that there's so much potential out there, and it's important to kind of have a platform for these kind of women who are so talented. But yes, I mean, the challenges that they're facing isn't a challenge as such. I think it somewhere comes down to responsibilities and something that women just don't have too much to say about.
Right.
So that's the entire journey that kind of started, and the idea of opening a co-working space was something that, yes, definitely initiated, but we kind of evolved from that to being incubators, we focus a lot on mentorship, we focus a lot now on, supporting women, helping them get back to work, that's something that has been our primary focus right from the beginning. And either it could be through entrepreneurship, it could be getting back into a job. But I think the journey has been wonderful for us so far, and definitely all the initiatives that we do is something that we take out of the personal journeys with the kind of women we meet through this entire process. And I think you've also been part of our journey in a lot of ways. You've been inspiring us. Somebody it's always about how we take something back home and definitely give back. And we strongly believe that it's about holding each other's back, because what happens is, as women, we have that complete points of of course, working with other women, the challenges again that we face are something a lot of people talk about, but I think end of the day it's about how you kind of embrace it and make the best of it.
Right, because that sort of brings me to my question, because we were talking about at the end of the day, like I said, as much as I don't want to bring in that disparity of, say, an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. It doesn't have anything to do with a gender, right? Because the job or the business doesn't know whether we wear the pants or whether we're in a sari. It doesn't matter, right? But at the end of the day, there are still a certain set of challenges or a certain set of hurdles that we as women sort of face when we either go back to work or start something new. So Vandana, my actual question to you at this point is, because I know that your entrepreneurship journey also started after your motherhood, right? And a lot of people specifically feel that, there are certain milestones that we talk about, in every person's life. And it's after this we do this. And there's this whole societal sort of pressure that surrounds all of the decisions that a woman takes. So coming from that perspective, right, how do you sort of see where we are today in 2021?
So I think I realized that one of the biggest challenges that a lot of mothers face when it comes to getting back to work or even starting something new is first accepting that they can come out and start becoming financially independent. They will be able to leave their child for a couple of hours, and it's not going to affect anybody in the family or themselves. So I think the first starts with the women, right? It starts with the mother to first tell herself that things are going to be okay at home when you are stepping out of it. That it becomes like you are at home, you are with your child for almost say 1-2 years. You don't see the outside world. It kind of becomes your comfort zone, right? And to step out of the comfort zone, it really, affects you very more mentally than physically, right? You don't know if you're ready for it. You don't know if you can take the risk. And the biggest problem is the guilt, right? If any small thing happens, you automatically only put the blame. Women tend to put the blame on themselves.
Yes, the mom guilt shows its head up, and yes. You're like, oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not able to be there when the child is unwell to pick her up from school, or if you're not able to be a part of any meeting, or if they want to go out and then you have to decide between the meeting or the family, it becomes a very difficult, position for them. So I think it's the acceptance has to be there. And now, compared to when we started and compared to 2021, I think in these 4-5 years, we have seen a huge change. A lot of women have started getting a lot of self-confidence to go out there and become financially independent. I think it's more to do with a lot of other women role models who seem to be inspiring them. So one is looking at others, looking at people like you, looking at, other women, not just moms, but also women who are able to create an identity for themselves. It's kind of giving them that motivation to start something on their own. They're like, we can do it. And also, I think the rise of digital jobs and the way companies are becoming more into diversity hiring, and entrepreneurs also are more open. Like a lot of clients now open to entrepreneurs and startups. I think women are slowly starting to understand that the entire scenario of getting back to work is slowly changing. So right. That way, we can see a big shift that is happening right now. But there's still a lot to go, because this is just the acceptance of the mother. But the society has changed, the mindset of families changed, mindset of men changed, or other women have changed. No, it hasn't, right? It's a very small percentage. Like us, like for example, it has been a little bit convenient. I won't say a lot, but yes, there has been a bit mindset, but it's not the same for a maximum of women out there. Right. They still face societal and family pressure. I think that still needs to be worked on constantly.
Right. And that is something that we are, I think, slowly and steadily sort of working towards, because like I said, a lot of the societal construct comes from, traditions or norms or stereotypes that have been passed on from generation to generation. And it's like, when Rome wasn't built in a day, you can't change the mindset of people just overnight and expect them to understand that, hey, I had a career before this and I want to go back. Even though I've had a human come out of me, I still deserve to have my own identity. Which is what brings me to my next question, because we talk a lot about this identity, right? I think right from when we are children, it's somewhere steeped into our heads that we are, say, daughters of so-and-so. And then when we get married, we become, wife of so-and-so. And then when you become a mom, that cycle that happens, right? Amongst all of these changes that happen to us in life, this identity of who we are as individuals, that is something that we constantly look for, or we try to get that external validation from. Today as Vandana, today as Jeenal, how do you think your identity has sort of developed, and what do you guys put out into the world?
So I think when it comes to me, I was always this independent, strong-headed girl, and I think the freedom was something that my parents gave me right from the way I was brought up. So I did not have to face too much in terms of, can do this, can't do this, or, since we've been two sisters, we've never had that whole comparison or,
right.
All of that. I think... and over the time, I think as you meet more people, you just tend to get your ideology stronger and somewhere stand for yourself. I think your education also gives you that. And more than that, I think your peers, your friends, they give you that support to stand up for yourself. And many a times, it's very easy for people to influence you. It's very easy, like you rightly put it, that, daughter of so-and-so, wife of so-and-so. But if it's upon yourself whether you want to make that name for yourself or not. Like for me, still, like even post-marriage, I am very clear. I am not changing my name for anything because I work so hard to build this name. I understand it's not out of not that I don't respect you or anything that comes along, but I think that identity is something that I'm born with, and I grew up raising and changing all of that. I wouldn't do it just because I got married. So I think somewhere it's upon yourself how strong you are and how you're willing to take that plunge for yourself, stand up for decisions. Yes, you can fail, but it's okay. I mean, I'm sure there are other moments that you can, boost yourself up and say, I think I did a good job in that. But not necessarily that you will get all your failures and sulk about it. Just let people tell you what to do and start blindly following that because you feel you're not successful enough.
No, because I think that's very important, because again, that I like how you put it as not successful enough, because, success is a very, very subjective term and it means so many different things to so many different people, right? Which is what we are going to get back in just a bit after we hear what Vandana has to say about the identity.
Right. So when I started off initially, so it was for me, was an IT job career for 3 years, then get married, take a 3-year, 4-year maternity break. Then I got back to work actually. I worked for a year where I met Jeenal. I was not comfortable with the entire shift of 9 to 5. The mother's guilt kept into me. And then I decided entrepreneurship was more of a matter of being comfortable. It was a matter of convenience first, and then it turned into a passion. So it was initially when I started, it was like, if I get into something on my own, I can actually sit at home. I can be more with my children was the reason that I started. And a lot of women that I come across also tell me the same thing. Because it was more convenient, lesser hours, you get to decide when to go, when not to go. It started the same way for me. But then slowly, as we started talking to a lot of women and we started relating to the problem, I realized there needed to be a voice, right? So my identity slowly started converting into a voice for other women, like what other women that we meet have, issues while coming back to work, what inspires them, what do they need to make themselves better, in their businesses, or even personally to their mental health itself. So for me, the identity started to slowly convert from an entrepreneur into being a voice for a women entrepreneur. So that is what we constantly do, right? The initiatives that we run, if you see all of our initiatives focuses on putting a voice up to what women actually face, the challenges that they face, and how do you make them into an opportunity is what we try to do with the identity. So that has been like more of an identity for me. Like, what more can I tell out the people? Because not all women entrepreneurs, like we have, say, 1, 2 lakh, 4 lakh women entrepreneurs with us, not everybody can bring out that voice. So what can we do now with the power that we have to create that voice movement? That's what has been the identity that we have.
Right, and I think that is so important, right? Because I've always been a very, very strong and firm believer of the fact that with great power comes great responsibility. As cliche as it sounds, or as, cinematic as it sounds, it does become very, very important when the people who have the power to give a voice for the voiceless. And by voiceless, I don't literally mean that they are not strong enough or that they don't have the backing. But sometimes not everybody can express or raise their issues in a way that somebody else can. And when you can put out their fight for them, why not? I think that's a very beautiful sort of way to, bring in that identity, because you've been on both sides of the spectrum. So you sort of understand where people are coming from. And going back and talking a little bit about partnership, I remember when Jinal started off this conversation, she was talking about how you guys, formed this partnership, and you were very clear about what your strengths and weaknesses are. Right? And I think for any good team, right, you need to understand where, your strength lies and where your weakness is also. We'll start off with the positives first, and then we'll delve into, how we sort of handle the obstacles. But talking about strengths, Vandana, what do you sort of see in Jinal that is something that is very positive and something that you think a lot of people should emulate?
Right. The first thing that I really think Jinal had, which really helped us kickstart our business, was the networking skills. Not a lot of women can go out there and network with a lot of people, talk to them, and get what they need. So I think Jinal, being independent from when she was young, like you said, helped her go out and reach out to a lot of people. So that actually helped us get a lot of clients on board, because we just used to go to meetings, and she was the type who would just go out there and give card a lot of people, just have strike like very simple conversations with them and to get the right people. So the amount of networking and the amount of contact that she had was like very huge and very useful, and I think that is a strength that she really used in the business as well, right? The second part is a persuasion, right? It's very difficult to be very persuasive, and especially when you're in business, you have to be persuasive with your clients. You really do not mind, being walked on. Your ego shouldn't come in the way. Right. So that way, again, that's another thing. So for me, I'm not that patient. So if client says no, I'll be like, okay, fine, just leave it to go. But then Jinal is the type who's like, no, I'm not going to give up on this person. I'm going to call them every day and find out what's happening. So the persuasion of her actually has converted a lot of clients from us. Leads that have come to us have been converted only simply because she was actually, reaching out to them, getting back to them, asking them what is it that they require. The small talks during that time and creating that rapport with them, right, was done just through persuasion alone. Right. So I think that is something that I can probably never do, because I just lose my patience very easily. I just give up. So that I think was, that I was really very surprised, because I thought some cold leads, I thought it's just done. I was like, I'm done with responding. But she didn't. She waited. She got back to them for at least a month. She was constantly in touch. And it actually converted for us, which we never expected. So there have been so many instances that has happened. So I think these two are like one of the most important skills that you need for business. Right. And that's something that she came with when she came into, started working with us.
All right. So we've given Jinal a nice idea, for this 2021, if and ever we ever have a lockdown. God forbid it shouldn't happen. But if and ever it does happen, The Art of Persuasion by Jinal Patel. We've already got a title. I'll design the cover for you, and then we'll, sell like 1 million copies and get it on the bestsellers list. So Jinal, we've given you an idea. So when it happens, you have to give Vandana and myself credits, okay? Because it's from this conversation that's happened. But yes, Jinal, you tell me what, because I know a lot of things about Vandana as a person from the conversations that I've had with the both of you, right? I sort of understand, I believe that these are the strengths that I see as an outsider from you guys. But you guys work together 24/7, and sometimes they say it's very difficult for women to be friends, let alone business partners. But you guys have managed to ace that very, very comfortably because of the rapport that you guys have, touch wood. So you let me know, what do you think are, Vandana's strong points?
I think for me, Vandana's strong points is she hears you out. I think that's very important. She does not, take a stand without hearing what you have to put or what you have to say as well. I think that's very important because, yes, many a times the situations, each person handles things very differently, but it's important to hear each other out and then take the best decision that works for the scenario. And I think that's a very beautiful thing that I learned from her. And secondly, the experience that she brings to the table. So for me, I got into this entire business of being an entrepreneur with just like 1.5 year work experience. I don't even think that's something you'd even want to consider, right? But it's almost like being a fresher. So that was again a very beautiful thing for me to learn of how, she kind of could oversee a lot of things. She could kind of get an idea of scenarios much better than I could, which is where I used to be like, okay, so let me listen to what she has to say, and then I put my mind to it and get things going, with my skill sets. And the third point is, she was a mom of two when I met her. Like, I have always, constantly wondered of how that entire life would be, and seeing her juggle, manage everything. And she's been there with me for all the important meetings, all the important milestones. And of course, we've been there for each other, even, through the personal journeys as well. So I think somewhere it's about striking that balance. And for us, our journey is more of, I don't think we started off as friends. We started off as business partners, and we eventually became friends with each other. And the good part is that we never took advantage of each other at any point. Like, we gave each other that space. We understood that, yes, this is important. So I think it's about striking that balance. It's about even respecting the other person's way of living things, and the way she does things and the way I do things, we're completely poles apart.
Right.
But it's about still, giving each other that space and saving, because end of the day, we both are very passionate about what we're doing, and if the end goal is right, I think it's just about how you kind of get to that destination.
Right. No, I think that's what I said, right? From the time I've met you guys, I know that you both are as different as chalk and cheese, but sometimes, right, it's the combinations that you least think of that work together so well because there's some sort of magic that exists. And it's not something that, like you said, since you guys started off as business partners, you then eventually built on this friendship, and there was a lot of scope for you guys to grow together, not just as business partners, but as individuals yourselves. Which also brings me to a question that I have right now, because I think I wanted to touch upon it a little earlier in the conversation, but we got carried away and we were talking about identities. But yes, the question that I wanted to understand is, because Jinal was also talking about the experience, right? So this is something that I don't think, unfortunately, it still exists today. As much as we don't want to admit it or we don't want to see it in 2021, this disparity between treating a male entrepreneur and a women entrepreneur differently because of experience, or because I'm a man, or just because I can. Right? There are so many of these scenarios that we've experienced at different times because that gender thing comes in. And a lot of the times it's the ego that unfortunately rises its head and says, hey, I don't have to take this from you just because you're a woman. So in your field, how do you sort of navigate through that?
I think for us, we've never taken disparity, because I think, like you said, I don't think it should be gender specific, but it has been. And in a lot of situations, we have been asked whether you have another male co-founder with you, or how are you going to plan it if suddenly you need to quit, or if Jinal gets pregnant. There have been a lot of questions like that coming our way. But it's all about brushing past that. I think you can't avoid it, right? We've never been able to avoid situations, but we just, go past that and, answer the questions which are relevant. And that has been the only way we have been able to fight it. But also there have been a lot of men allies with us. We have been having a lot of men who have supported what we do. In fact, more than women at times, simply because they want somebody in their family to get back to work or become an entrepreneur, be it their wife or their sister, they've always wanted someone to get into. So that way we've had a lot of men allies. But disparity right now, creating a voice for that, we can, but not when we're going for meetings, like when we go for a client with a client and it's just going to be nothing about it, right?
Right.
Just like nod along and smile and then just go ahead with the next thing. So that's how it is. It's about avoiding situations like that. If it goes to a bit, then we try to see if we can get another connect who we probably relate more to and then move along that thing.
Right,
so typically, everywhere it's very big, right? The amount of networks are very big. So if we realize, so when we have our first conversation itself, we kind of understand where the person comes from. And if we know that our thoughts doesn't align with the other person, then we look out for somebody else who might. Probably stature in the company or something else that they won't relate to, or we just move to another brand itself. So I think all about understanding in the beginning conversation itself where they come from and then taking it forward from it.
Yeah, because I think that also is very, very important. Knowing what battles to pick and what battles to fight. Because like you rightly said, sometimes you just got to go with the flow. There are only certain things that you can and cannot say at a meeting. Or if you're facing somebody who is a particular age or a particular stature, like you rightly said, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Because especially when you're going into business together, the partnership has to be something that benefits both parties involved. And I think that's unfortunately or fortunately the way we sort of navigate things around at the workspace. Let's hope that scenario sort of changes in the years to come and our future generations don't have to sort of deal with that. But talking a little bit about where the industry sort of stands today, right? With today, everyone being on social media, right? Today, there's no age limit. Earlier, it was like, oh, okay, you have a Facebook account when you're like 21 or when you're in school or college. Today, like a 5-year-old has access to Instagram and whatnot, all the different applications, right? So how important do you think digital is going to be going forward? I know that it is the future and I understand where everybody is coming from. But don't you also feel that the social media world is sort of making things a little too complicated?
So I think it's important for us to be digitally ready as well. I think that's another very important element because today, yes, while everyone could be on social media, but as entrepreneurs, I think social media has been a great platform, especially during the pandemic, where we have seen that a lot of entrepreneurs have emerged, a lot of home bakers, a lot of people doing their small bits to keep themselves engaged. At the same time, also realize that yes, they could be entrepreneurs. They kind of opened up doors for themselves. And I think somewhere that's an advantage and a disadvantage. So talking about the advantage, I think technology is the future, right? I think the pandemic has taught us the best in terms of how to leverage technology and how it's been keeping us connected with one another. Even businesses have been ongoing thanks to technology. And I think social media has been just one of the channels, and it's nice to see about how you take that plunge and you take the advantage of the platform. And the disadvantage would be, yes, that you're exposed to it at a very young age. There are a lot of challenges that I think parents especially face, with the amount of screen time and the regulations that they have to kind of bring in with their children. But I look at it as a very positive note of how the entrepreneurial journey evolved, and I think a lot of women took there and took that jump and also started educating themselves a bit more. Like at W Square, that's something we advocate a lot and talk about digital transformation, about how it's important to take your business digitally. And even traditional companies realize the importance of being digital during this entire pandemic, and we're now seeing how everyone is now getting used to even using technology to order their groceries back home, to the medicine back home, and that was something that you didn't really, but out of no choice, you kind of started adapting to it, and I think that's a beautiful thing for us to take back.
And I think what social media has done for us, especially for women, is we've always been taught from a young age to not talk too much about ourselves. But I think digital has actually changed the scenario for a lot of women, and that's something we also constantly educate our entrepreneurs on is please blow your own trumpet, right? Please talk about your achievements, what you have done, what you are learning, because every woman out there needs somebody they can look up to, they can be inspired from, a role model. And I think that it can happen only when more women start talking a lot about ourselves. And that doesn't happen because of the way we have been all of these years. While men naturally have the flair to go and say the achievements that they have made, that typically doesn't happen with women because we always keep thinking of how we can better ourselves, or we always compare ourselves to some other person and, a little bit we put down ourselves. the quality that we have been brought up with. But social media has changed that the amount of posts or the videos that we see from women, right from their dancing skills to their speaking skills, right? It's actually changed the confidence level of a lot of women out there. It's inspiring more to come on to that stage and start talking more about themselves. I think which is a big advantage.
I think that is a point that is very, very important for us to sort of think of and reflect upon, because we're taught, that I think is the key word. Right from when we are young, we're taught to sit a certain way, we're taught to speak a certain way, we're taught to do things a certain way, we're taught to say, don't use these words, don't swear, don't talk about yourself so much, don't put yourself out there, dress this way. After all of these rules and regulations, today I think social media has sort of also opened up an avenue for people to be very vocal about who they are, where they come from, what their skills are. And I think, like you said rightly, when you see somebody else do it, right, you somewhere have that motivation. Somewhere you're like, hey, if that person can do it, why not me? And it doesn't have to be a gender-based thing or an age-based thing even. I know a lot of people who at 60 took up maybe say cycling or gardening or something just because they saw somebody else do it. And today, thanks to social media, we get to know of so many wonderful women out there who, like you said, are giving a voice for a lot of the other people. And I think, yes, that definitely is one of the advantages of going the social way. And, there's no stopping it. It is the future. It is the rage. And we belong to the Gen Z millennial, generation now. So there's no changing that. Going back and talking about, W Square's evolution, right? Today you guys are incubators. You're no longer the co-working space, because right before COVID, you were able to, transition from that to being incubators. So in the future, I know that in the coming months, you are doing something fantastic with the government of Germany. So tell us a little bit about that.
We are actually part of the German government, Berlin state government. So the German Berlin state government, as part of their female entrepreneurship between Berlin and India, selects top 8 incubators that support women entrepreneurship. And we are actually the first ones from Tamil Nadu in the 4 years of actually being selected for this program. So it's basically a 6-month program which focuses on how we can increase global connect for women entrepreneurs in India, how to give them better access to a global, mentoring or a platform for them to actually, make their businesses much better and expand their businesses pan-India and international as well. So we've completed, I think, 2.5 months, 3 months of the program already. And then we will be pitching about W Square in Germany end of May, instead of the German government talking about our journey. And then we'll be coming back to India at Delhi to present in front of the Indian government as well. So this is a joint initiative done by the Indian and the Berlin state government to establish, exchanges between mentors from Berlin as well as mentors from India as well, focusing on women entrepreneurship. So It's been a very exciting journey, and we are very proud to be the first ones from Tamil Nadu for this. They have 3 cohorts and this is the 4th one, and we are very proud to say that we are from Chennai and we are Tamil girls who are out there and talking about it. And sometimes I teach they tend to learn only Hindi most of the times. Right. So I tell them, why can't you learn a couple of words in Tamil too? So I taught them Vanakkam and Nalla and Kekla and all of that.
Right.
So, it's our national language, so we're very proud of it.
Oh, we are very, very, very proud of you. The very specific reason why I asked you to speak about this is, like you rightly said, sometimes as women, we forget to blow our own trumpets, or rather we choose not to because we prefer to be in the background. We prefer to stay behind the shadows, do all of the background work and let someone else take the credit. But I think today things are changing. We're willing to take the bull by the horns and say, hey, listen, I tamed that bull and I own it, and I want to make sure that I achieve or I receive the right recognition for my feat. And I think you girls are truly killing this game. You guys are on top of it and empowering so many other women along the process, because I think that is, to me, what embodies the women's spirit. Because as much as I like to say it's very difficult to put 20 women in a group together and not have them have catfights, I understand that sometimes there is this preconceived notion as to how women have these certain qualities about them. And I also think a group of like-minded individuals, when they get together, the magic that they sort of create, right? Whether it's from work, whether it's a creative output or anything of that sort, I think there is something so beautiful about the feminine touch, right? Okay, on that note, I think we've had a fantastic conversation. We've spoken a lot about the ups, the lows, the journey of entrepreneurship and all of that. But I want to sort of wrap up this conversation by getting a little personal and understanding how this journey has been truly for you guys, because I know it's not been a cakewalk. I know there have been times where things were not really looking up and there were a lot of, okay, are we sure we want to go this way? Is this something that's going to benefit us? But how has it been learning through this process and also showing the way for the others? How do you guys see yourselves having evolved from, say, 2017 to the current stage where W Square is right now?
So I think for me, it's been amazing because every day is a challenge. Every day is not the same. And I think with time, it's only passion that is getting stronger and stronger. And, I'm getting more strong-headed at the fact that, yes, I want to make this difference. I want to do that. I want to do it. And I think the ups and downs, well, I think that's part and parcel of everyone's lifestyle. And sometimes striking that balance between personal and professional. Yes, even we face those issues. While, yes, you can see us standing there tall, where you see us talking out with this bold, fierce voice. But yes, we also have those issues that we leave back home. But sometimes it's just about how you just move forward and you just decide that whether should that matter to you or not. I think that's what helps me going. And I think having each other's support as well. At the end of the day, when you are in finds, you just call each other up and then you talk about it. Think, I have this feeling, you have the same thing. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge what we feel as well. There are days when you just may not be able to think right, you may not be able to take the right decision. So it's okay. I mean, you don't have to be like making the right decisions all the time, doing everything right, and it's okay to fail, it's okay to accept it, and it's important for you to stand up and start moving forward and not just get bogged down. And take your time, but definitely make sure you have that something to keep you motivated, keep you moving, and don't look for inspiration outside. I think somewhere it's about having that inspiration inside you. It's just about doing it.
Absolutely. I think, something that I've always truly believed in is even when the whole world is against you or even when the world is not clapping for you, you need to be your own cheerleader. You need to be your own superhero and say, you know what, I had a setback, but it's okay. I'm going to come back stronger from that. And I think, like you rightly said, sometimes it is important for us to tap inside and find that potential and just keep moving forward because, what have we got to lose, right? We are doing something right. So we might as well move in the direction. And yes, Vandana, how has it been for you?
So it's been a learning, like she said, it's learning, but it's also been a learning. One of the important things that I have learned is that it's okay to take a break. Like just because you started an entrepreneurship journey, you do not have the pressure of going there on top quickly or always doing something. So for example, when the pandemic started, we took like a literal 3-month break. We didn't do anything, right? We wanted to adjust ourselves to the situation. We wanted to know how it's for other women out there. And we wanted some mind space for us because everything changed. There were responsibilities, we had pressure. So we decided, okay, let's not do anything. And I think that is okay. Like, I think we are the pressure and we constantly keep thinking that, oh my God, we need to do more, then it kind of affects the mental health a lot. And I think that plays a very important role. So I think first thing that we learned is it's okay to sometimes, double down on what we do if we find it necessary, That break, never think of a break as a failure, but it can be just more of a challenge or it can be more of a learning for you to understand ourselves. And we deserve it, right? After so many events and initiatives that we've run in this week, it was a 3-month break. Actually, did not feel bad about it that we are letting go of something. So that I felt was very important. And the second thing I think was empathy, right? The way both of us understood each other. Empathy really matters when you are a partner, and though we started off on a professional front, we became more personal because we were able to empathize with our situations, and that's very important when it comes for women, right? To understand our situation, our personal journeys, mentally, physically, what is going to happen. Being there for each other is very important, and that has actually grown now. Like she knows that when I'm not in a mode to like speak or go forward, and she just gives me that break. And similarly, it works with her. Some things I know you have to let go and move on. So that has really helped out the journey for us to expand and move forward, because though our objective has always been the same in getting women back to work, the way we achieve it has been changing and has been evolving a lot, especially now with the pandemic. And that we realize that empathy plays a very important role to understand and know why are we making these decisions. So that kind of has really helped us in the journey. So these two, I would say, are the biggest learning that we've had.
I think that's beautiful, and I think that's a perfect way to sort of, sum up this episode, specifically because I myself, right, I've had these moments, especially during the pandemic, where I have looked at people and I've said, oh my God, they're doing all of these amazing things, and what am I doing with my life? And we've all been there. We've all had those moments, and as much as we hate to admit it, right, we still sort of find those moments where we feel a little vulnerable, we feel a little overwhelmed, and we're thinking, okay, are we doing enough, or are we being productive enough? Because unfortunately, as much as social media has its good side, the side that we also don't see is the failures, right? Nobody talks about their failures as honestly as they talk about their success, and everybody has their own success path. Like we were talking about how success is subjective to different people. It does get overwhelming, and there are points where you really think, you know what, I want to stop, I want to reevaluate, I need to refocus and restart again. And that's absolutely okay. And being empathetic while you're doing that, I think that is truly a lesson of growth. And I wish you guys nothing but the best. I've seen your growth, I've seen your journey, and I'm incredibly proud of the women that you are and the women that you are encouraging along this journey, because the world needs more of people like us, right? And I think as a tribe of women that support other women, I think we've had a beautiful relationship, and I'm sure it's going to get only stronger in the years to come. So here's me you all the very best for your future endeavors, and count me in. I'll always be a cheerleader for you guys, whether it's from the forefront or whether it's from the back, to say, hey guys, you got this, and I'm rooting for you. Thank you so much for joining me on this lovely episode today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a great hour of conversation. Thank you so much.
Right, on that note, it's time for me to sign off. This was a wonderful, talk with Vandana Jinal from W Square. So many more interesting conversations, so many more interesting stories with you to share on season 2 of my podcast series, The People I Meet. Until I meet you the next time, this is Shruti Vijay Kumar Vasant saying, take good care of yourself and stay safe. Thank you for tuning in.